A girl in a convenience store casually said something about belief. That one sentence ended up changing the life of a 65-year-old man. No man in the movie could watch it without tearing up. The old man had to walk 87 days, 1,000 kilometers. What kept him going was just one thing: belief. As long as he kept walking, his colleague, Queenie, could survive. It all started when he went to buy milk. The girl in the store saw the letter in his hand and asked, out of curiosity. The man explained that Queenie had cancer. She said that the key to fighting a terminal illness isn't just medicine, it's belief. So he made a crazy decision. He would walk 1,000 kilometers, from the southwest to the northeast, across all of England, to see a colleague he hadn't seen in over 20 years. He hoped his journey would give her hope. This path became Harold's pilgrimage. He had no money, forgot his phone at home, and wore dress shoes totally wrong for walking long distances. He didn't tell his wife. He called the care home and asked to speak to Queenie, but the staff said she was resting. They could leave a message. He told her, I'm going to keep walking. You have to survive. No one believed he would make it. From South Devon to Berwick-upon-Tweed, it was nearly 800 kilometers. Harold scribbled a note, wait for me. He dropped it in the mailbox and left without looking back. Life always throws the same problems at you, but this time, you make a different choice. Harold had lived a quiet, safe life, never taking risks. Now he was stepping onto an incredible new path. He was over 60 and had never walked far. Just leaving his town wore him out. He realized he couldn't turn back. So he found a phone booth and called his wife. She was angry that he left home for another woman, but then worried about his health. She answered again. Harold walked away from the booth alone. That night, he stayed in a small inn. Before sunrise, he was back on the road, muttering, you will survive. Through the countryside to the next town. His dress shoes rubbed his feet raw. It hurt, but he was happy. He had walked 13 kilometers that day. In one small town, a little girl in a Superman costume told him, you should stop. Harold realized he needed to take care of himself. He bought toiletries at a supermarket and stayed in a nearby inn. Even after bandaging his feet, walking still hurt. He kept moving, silently wishing the best for Queenie. He stopped at a house and asked for water. It never tasted so sweet. The woman didn't ask where he came from or where he was going. He said that for some people, walking itself is a dream. She asked if he had kids. Mentioning his son made Harold's eyes sad. That night, he called his wife again. She told him she'd just been angry earlier and wanted him home. Harold refused, saying he had promised Queenie he'd finish the walk. Molly's face fell, but she kept the conversation light. 3 days later, Harold reached the county seat. He had barely covered 1/30th of the journey. He wasn't in a rush, moving like a traveler. He visited a church and bought a crystal necklace to send to Queenie. On the 4th day, his feet hurt so much he could barely continue. He thought of his son, from childhood to Cambridge exams. Dazed, exhausted, burned by heat and injury, he collapsed by the roadside. A passing woman helped him home. Harold explained why he was walking so far. The care staff were shocked, but Harold persisted. Once on the road, his injured feet left him no rest. People offered to clean his feet, but he refused. Women shared their own stories to comfort him. Molly lied to the police, worried he'd get hurt. The police said he was clear-headed, doing something extraordinary. Someone even hid his shoes to make him rest. But Harold refused to stop, packed his gear, and kept moving. He asked patients about Queenie, but no one could see her. He held their hands gently, encouraging them to let go of the past. He packed up and continued. Layla gave him supplies to keep going. Life is like a journey, people leave marks on you along the way. After leaving Layla, Harold continued his trek. At home, Molly finally told the neighbor about her husband leaving. She admitted the marriage had long been empty. The person who always wanted to leave was actually her. Queenie had come years ago, Molly had sent her away. Harold adapted to long-distance walking. 2 weeks later, his body adjusted, but his heart still ached. In a restaurant, he casually mentioned his plan. People said he must be a cancer doctor, admired him, but reminded him that belief alone doesn't cure disease. Harold was silent, doubting himself. He thought of his son, pain and regret flooding back. He called the care home to check on Queenie. She had improved and would sit up to see a postcard. He felt renewed, focused on moving forward each day. Without enough money for inns, he slept in abandoned buildings. Hardship felt meaningful, as if it could help Queenie heal faster. For simplicity, he mailed his ID and bank cards home. Harold lived like a wild man. Hungry, eat wild berries. Thirsty, drink from streams. Tired, sleep. Occasionally, he took food from farms along the way, and he just kept walking. Once, Harold met a man, told his story, got photographed, and soon appeared in the newspaper. A woman on the street recognized him, handed him bread, and left. Harold called Molly, incredulous about the press, but it didn't affect him much. A young man, Will, caught up with him, wanting to walk together. Harold almost refused, but Will insisted on helping. Seeing Will and his dog reminded Harold of his son. He agreed. Suddenly, the journey felt alive. Will was only 18, and Harold knew he couldn't casually take a kid on this trek. That night, hearing a wild animal, Will cried into Harold's arms. Harold held him like he was holding his son. Media attention grew. Harold became the focus. Molly saw him on TV, felt strange. The group expanded overnight, more people, more chaos. Some made matching shirts, making it lively but noisy. Harold hated crowds, the quiet of walking was gone. Molly found him, took him to a cafe. It was the first time she bought him a meal. They chatted about nothing, then she cried, saying she felt abandoned and wanted him to stop now. Only 200 kilometers left. Harold refused. He thought of Queenie fighting in her hospital bed, and clenched his teeth, moving on. Along the way, a boy took the crystal necklace and medicine. Harold felt powerless but kept walking. He left the noisy group, pretending to be busy when strangers approached. After 60+ days, he neared the end. His dog left, and he met a girl. She gently petted the dog, and Harold walked on without looking back. For the first time, he felt true solitude. The closer he got, the more fear gripped him. Walking through wind and rain, memories of darkness surfaced. Abandoned by his parents as a child, his upbringing left scars. He didn't know how to love others, including his wife and son. His son had been bright, got into Cambridge, then fell into drinking and drugs under pressure, turning father and son into enemies. One day, Harold came home to find his son had died by suicide. Molly blamed him for not loving his son. After losing their child, Molly moved into his son's room. For over a decade, pain enveloped the couple. Harold realized the tragedy came from his own selfishness. He stopped. He didn't want to walk anymore. His wife found him. He admitted he couldn't continue and wanted to go home. Molly patiently guided him. He asked directions. Less than 130 kilometers left, and he wanted to quit. She encouraged him. For Queenie, he must see it through. Queenie had come to their home before, asking his wife to tell him not to blame himself. During the lonely walk, memories of Queenie's pain returned. He wrote to the gas station girl, confessing his past sorrow. He told her about his son's suicide and his guilt. A colleague, Winnie, had been fired trying to protect him. He had done nothing then. The letter to the girl was to show belief saved others, and himself. She panicked and explained to Molly. She couldn't believe one sentence sent a stranger walking 1,000 kilometers. Harold's story about the letters? He had made it up. 87 days. 1,000 kilometers. Across England. Harold arrived in Berwick, Queenie's town. No flowers, no hugs, just a nun smiling. No cheering, no excitement. Harold, like a devout pilgrim, walked to Queenie's bedside. The nun said Queenie's mind was sometimes clear, sometimes not, but she remembered the promise. Harold walked to the bed. Queenie turned her face away. He truly felt death's presence. The belief that had kept him going for 87 days collapsed. After a long silence, he hung the crystal necklace on the window. He spoke some small words, then left the room. Sitting by the sea, staring blankly, he began doubting the journey's purpose. Molly appeared, and he finally understood her feelings, and Queenie's kindness. Jealousy vanished. Harold understood. Molly sincerely apologized. Harold didn't blame her. Whether Queenie had visited their home or not, he would choose his wife. Harold only hated himself for walking across England to save others, yet unable to save his son. But he had done it, believing he had walked into the world. It was a miracle, a choice, a testament to his life. Harold and Molly's love became steady and true. From the moment he stepped out the door, he had been finding his real self.